So the aim of our study was to determine the prevalence, severity, and subjective impact of fecal incontinence in non-pregnant nulliparous women aged 25 to 64 years, and to construct a reference group to evaluate the relative effect of a pregnancy, vaginal delivery, and the potential protective effect of cesarean section. The study cohort was retrieved from the total population register by Statistics Sweden. A national survey of 20,000 randomly selected nulliparous women was conducted in 2014. The response rate was 52%, and the total study population was over 9,000 nulliparous women. The fecal incontinence was defined as involuntary loss of feces, solid and/or liquid, anal incontinence as involuntary loss of gas and/or feces, isolated gas incontinence as involuntary loss of gas without leakage of feces. The incontinence severity grading system of Jorge and Wexner was used. Our results shows that the overall prevalence of fecal incontinence in these nulliparous women was 11.9%. Nulliparous women with fecal incontinence were older, had higher BMI, and were more often obese. They were more often hysterectomized and postmenopausal, but this we think that it might be due to the fact that they were older. And they had more often a history of childhood nocturnal enuresis in comparison with nulliparous women without fecal incontinence. The logistic regression model shows that the prevalence of fecal incontinence increased consistently with the age, and that almost every second nulliparous woman had anal incontinence, and isolated gas incontinence was common. We see here also that the incontinence of liquid stool was almost 3 times more prevalent than solid stool, and across ages, we see that 1 in 4 women with fecal incontinence had a bothersome fecal incontinence, and the trajectory of solid stool and bothersome incontinence was the same. And this is a diagram that shows that the impact of anal leakage by age. The bars represents the different age groups, and even here we see that all parameters of severity of incontinence increased consistently with age. The bothersome incontinence, need to use pads, lifestyle alteration, and higher Wexner score. So in conclusion, fecal and anal incontinence were common in nulliparous women and increased with age and BMI. In nulliparous women with fecal incontinence, every 4th had bothersome incontinence, and the severity and subjective impact of fecal incontinence increased with age. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Bill Gibson, University of Alberta. Thanks for a very interesting study. Can you comment on the health-seeking behaviour of your participants? And surprising, it's well reported, of course, that people with FI don't seek help. Had these women sought treatment, or were they just suffering in silence?
This is our study. We used a questionnaire. This data is collected from questionnaire and not from the medical registers. But there was another study that is published earlier this year from Sweden, and there they showed that the prevalence of anal incontinence in nulliparous women was much, much lower than what we had now. And they collected their data from medical registers, and this might show that there is very poor seeking behavior for women having this incontinence.
I have a question about the quite high incidence of gas incontinence in women. Was it bothersome to them? And what do you think the mechanism of it was, given they were nulliparous and wouldn't seem to have any obstetric injury that might account for it?
We didn't have in the questionnaire bothersome gas incontinence, so I don't know the answer to this question. But our data shows that gas incontinence is pretty much common, and it might be more after the delivery and obstetric injuries.